everybody. This is Nicole Whitlock and Miss
Renata Darden.
Miss Renata Darden. Yes. And we are here with eCom Sales Academy. We're going to be covering a retail arbitrage workshop part 1. So we're glad that you're here. We're going to go ahead and get started. So a little bit about us. I'm going to let Renata talk about herself, and then I'll share my information.
I love talking about you, though. Okay, so my name is Renata Darden, co-founder of eCom Sellers, and we are here to help you. We want you to know why you should be actually listening to this particular training. I've been selling online for more than 20 years. It's going very well, but I started, years ago when the online space kind of got started. I was right there at the beginning of it, selling offline since I was a little kid. My dad used to bring stuff home, and while they were at work, I'd be out in the front yard selling whatever I needed to get whatever I needed as far as cash. So I have been selling things, reselling things for a very long time, and my why is my 2 amazing teenage sons who keep me very busy, keep me on my toes, keep me moving around all the time. And so they help me in my business, and we love this business because we're able to do it from anywhere. Nicole?
Absolutely. So I'm going to say Renata is an example of a person who actually uses the strategies that we're about to talk about today. She uses these strategies to pay her bills. So Amazon pays her bills for real. And Amazon has been paying her bills for real for about, I think, 4 years, 5 years.
Much longer than that. We're into the 6th year now as far as
6 years,
Amazon full time. But yeah, that's my favorite tagline. Amazon pays my bills. Amazon funds our summer fun. Amazon does a lot of things for us, but we're going to be speaking to you from an Amazon perspective. But we want to make sure that you understand you can do this stuff anywhere.
You can. So I'm Nicole Whitlock. I am the founder of eCom Sellers, and I'm also the co-creator of eCom Sellers Summit, eCom Sellers, eCom Q4 Summit, eCom Sellers Academy, eCom Minute, eCom Mondays. All of these eCom related ideas, the orange and blue, were part of my brainchild, and I kind of roped in Renata in the middle of this. So
don't forget about eCom Mastery and eCom Mastermind.
eCom Mastery and eCom Mastermind. Yeah, so eCom Mastery, just so you guys know, eCom Mastery is our deep dive for that one-on-one kind of exclusive premier training where we're going to actually spend a lot of quality time with you and take a deep dive into your business. eCom Sellers Academy is what we're offering today, and eCom Sellers Academy is all about helping people get results because we want people to be successful in e-commerce. And then our eCom Sellers Summit and eCom Q4 Summit, those are actually our online e-commerce summits or conferences that we offer. And we also have a partnership with Mega Print on Demand Summit. So we do a lot. There's a lot of stuff that we do in addition to our Monday, every other Monday, eCom Mondays that we host. And that's our podcast. But I've been selling online since 2014. And that was selling on eBay and Amazon. Prior to that, I was doing garage sales just to raise money because I have 2 special needs kids. And I have been selling offline as a whole, because I used to own a candy vending business for several years and made a lot of money doing that, ironically, while I was pregnant. So that was amazing, just so you guys know. There's a lot of money in vending, not right now, though, because of the fact there's no traffic to vending machines as far as the organic traffic, unless you put it inside a business, but that's another discussion. So we wanted to share just a little bit about us, and we're going to get into the topic. So the assumption in this particular workshop, as Renata said, is that we're teaching this from an Amazon perspective. However, you can use any of this information on eBay on eBay or any other platform you happen to be selling on, Bonanza, Google Shopping, Facebook Marketplace, Shopify, like some of the strategies, because the reason why we say you can use it anywhere is just doing the research on what an item is selling for on Amazon.com, period, will help you with, if it's moving on Amazon, it's going to be moving on any other platform. So that's why we say you can use the strategies that we teach you today regarding using Amazon as your source for research and how to read the information that you're looking at on Amazon.com or your Amazon seller app. And you can use that information to make money on any other e-commerce platform because Amazon is king. It gets the most organic traffic of any other platform right now. And so if a product is selling on Amazon, it'll sell anywhere else. The other assumption is that we assume that you have already created your Amazon seller account. So if you have not created your Amazon seller account, we want to encourage you to create it in the next 24 to 48 hours. And so we want you to, we have a document. If you need it, we have this document available. So we'll share that in the chat. But we have a document for you to follow to create your Amazon seller account. And the goal is, again, for you to get the account approved. If you need further assistance, you can always join our live Q&A session that eCom Sellers Academy offers. We offer 2 a week, and we will help troubleshoot any issues that you have. In addition to that, as part of the Academy, you get live coaching sessions one-on-one, so you can sign up for your live coaching session. If we need to take a deep dive into getting your account approved, we'll do that as well. So moving on, overview for this workshop. So by the end of this workshop, the entire workshop series, that's part 1 and part 2, you will know how to, one, install the seller app. So if you've never installed the seller app, get your mobile device out now, because we're going to be doing some stuff on your phone. So wherever it is, go find it and bring it back to your computer. We want you to understand how to read and use the app. We want you to understand how to view products online. And when we talk about viewing products online, we're also talking about Amazon.com and the Amazon shopping app. We want you to know how to source a product. We're going to teach you some retail arbitrage strategies. And then we're going to take a deeper dive into retail arbitrage strategies in part 2. We want you to understand sales rank and restricted products and brands. We want you to know what you should be sourcing for right now, teach you how to do the scan and list method for scanning a product. And we're going to actually scan some products today. We're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into scanning and listing next week as well. And then creating a listing from scratch if you've never done that, and shipping your products to your customer. So we will be talking about all of this from a seller fulfilled standpoint instead of a merchant fulfilled standpoint, which is when you send your inventory to Amazon and they fulfill the order, they ship it to the customer themselves. You will be shipping these items to your customer. So we will walk through that. And then in addition to that, towards the end of the workshop, we're going to talk about some other ways in which you can scale your retail arbitrage business. And that is something that Renata and also on our leadership, Ms. Tony Mitchell, has done very, very well, scaling their retail arbitrage business. Is there anything else, Renata, you want to add to that?
No, I just wanted to rewind just a little bit. You mentioned we were going to be taking this from a seller fulfilled perspective, not an FBA or Amazon fulfilled perspective. I think you said seller both times, just so they don't get confused. We're going to be doing it seller fulfilled, where you're actually taking the product from beginning to shipping to the customer, not from an Amazon fulfilled perspective where you're shipping items into Amazon.
Right. And we do have another workshop for Amazon FBA that's coming up. I believe it's next month or the following month. So if you want to take the Amazon FBA workshop, you can do that. If you're an eCom Sellers Academy member, you get it absolutely free. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what is retail arbitrage. Install your Amazon seller app. We're going to walk through the seller app. We're going to view some products on the Amazon Seller Central, also Amazon.com and the Amazon shopping app. And then we are going to begin discussing some retail arbitrage strategies. So what is retail arbitrage? So I'm going to give you the shortest example that I know. It's taking an item from one location or buying it from a location, and this is going out physically to acquire it. You can do online arbitrage. Next week is, the next workshop after this is online arbitrage. So this is physically going out and acquiring the inventory in any method that you feel comfortable, and then taking that item and listing it on Amazon and selling it for a profit. So in the example I have here, it's buying something from the Dollar Tree, which is the dish soap sponges, buying them for $1 and selling them on Amazon, eBay, or any other platform that you choose to for more money, and then making a profit off of it. So keeping the difference, in other words. And we know that there are Amazon fees that are on those platforms as well. Amazon has fees on their platform. eBay, you have some fees that you'll have, but just know that whatever platform you choose to implement this, if you're going to use Amazon as your source, you don't have the Amazon seller app, you can always use Amazon.com to do a little bit of your research, and some other tools to do a little bit of your research as well.
And
Go ahead, Renata.
Just to interject here, we just want you to know that the skills we're about to show you, the skills you'll acquire through this workshop, we want you to look at it like you're being able to actually see the items that are selling either locally, or if you used other strategies like online, that they're selling locally for much less than what you know you can sell them for elsewhere online, whether that's Amazon or any other platform that you wanted to use. So it's kind of like having special goggles when you know what to look for and you know how to get these items sold.
Absolutely. All right. So the other thing I do want to encourage you, if you're a person that, as of right now, you may or may not decide you want to go out and do retail arbitrage, meaning physically do it. There are ways in which you can do retail arbitrage and still feel comfortable doing it. There's always the mask and the gloves. That's one way. But you can also use tools like Ship, where you can place the order online and have somebody go pick it up and deliver it to your front door. You can place the order on their website, whichever store you happen to buying it from, if they have the ability to do that, and then you can drive and go pick it up yourself. You can hire people like Postmates, and they can go pick up your orders for you. So there's different ways to do retail arbitrage that you can implement yourself if you don't feel comfortable going out and physically going to a store at this time and scanning. So wanted to make that known. All right, so the first thing before we get into it, what kind of mindset do you have to have in order to do retail arbitrage? And that is so important. So I'm going to talk through some stuff. Renata's going to talk through some stuff, and we're just going to piggyback off of each other. So the first thing I always tell everybody, anything that you're doing when it comes to e-commerce, at the end of the day, you have to remember you're the boss. You make all the decisions. You decide on which inventory you're going to source. You decide how much money you're going to spend. You decide how much time you're going to invest in it. This is all you. You make these decisions. So you have to take 100% ownership. You need to step into the ownership role and own every decision that you've made in your business. The thing about retail arbitrage is that there will be products that you will look at and they will be doing great, and then they may not be doing great later on. You have to make some decisions, but you're the business owner. You need to make those decisions. So another way to look at it is, let's say you bought a McDonald's franchise. So there is some information they're going to share with you at the beginning, and they're going to want you to continue to be profitable. They're going to give you the tools to do that. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for that McDonald's location, period. So you are responsible for your own store. You're responsible for everything that happens in that store. And so the goal is to help you to make really wise decisions. There will be days in which things are not great in your store, and it is okay. Don't let that stop you. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So this is the long game. We're looking at what is the long game? What is the long strategy we're looking at? You will have things that will happen in your business that you will be like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to handle it, or I'm frustrated about it. But I need you to know this is your business and you are the owner of it. You need to step into that role, own it, be 100% accountable and responsible to it, and do everything you can to help your business to be successful. Run your business like a business, not like a hobby. Run it like a real business. Renata, you want to add anything to that?
Just one thing, just as Nicole mentioned, I have been doing this business full time. And so because Amazon, along with many of the other platforms, pay all of my bills, you cannot go into this with the idea that, if this doesn't work within a certain amount of time, let's say 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that you're going to give up. You've got to be in this for the long haul. Many of the products that you're going to buy, we're going to show you how to find products that you can't of the factors up front because everything might change. You'll see once we get into the app, we're looking at number of sellers, we're looking at rank. All of those items are variables. So you've got to go into this knowing that you're going to do what it takes, get the information that you need. We're here to help. Get the help that you need to help your business be successful.
Absolutely. So the biggest piece that most people do not get is that this is I refer to it as inventory in, inventory out, inventory in, inventory out. It's a revolving door. You have to always be acquiring inventory in order to make money in this business. So this business model of e-commerce requires you to purchase product, to buy a product, to sell. So you have to buy it, whether you buy it at the lowest possible price and you have an amazing profit margin, or whether you buy it at a different price and be like, okay, I might take a loss on this just so I can whatever else you want to do. But the point is, you have to buy inventory in order to do this business. You can't buy inventory this week and next week, list it and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm not making any money. You have to keep, I refer to it as priming the pump. You have to prime the pump for at least 90 days to 6 months in some cases. I'm not saying you're not going to get a sale in your first week. There will be times that you get a sale on your first day. And there's a lot of stuff that's happening right now once we teach you about the sales rank, where you'll be able to get a sale like in a matter of seconds and minutes. But there are times that you're going to have inventory that you've acquired, and it may take a little while for that inventory to sell. Again, remember, this is the long game. Same thing with Walmart. If if Walmart bought inventory and they only bought inventory that they knew was going to sell right then their stores would always be empty. So you have to know that some of the stuff that's in the stores have been sitting on the shelf for a little bit, and somebody eventually will buy some of those items over time, or Walmart will decide to clearance it if they've made enough profit on other things. So you're going to decide which strategy, which approach works for your business. But the biggest thing you need to keep in mind is you have to buy inventory. You have to acquire inventory all the time, whether you buy it, whether somebody gives it to you, whether somebody donates it to you, whether you get it from a liquidation. You have to always be acquiring inventory and listing it. People cannot buy what they cannot see. So you have to always think of it as priming the pump or a revolving door of inventory. If you're not acquiring new inventory to continue to build up your business, then your business is going to become stale. If the same stuff stayed in the Walmart all the time for like 2 or 3 years, they would not, and it was stuff that they're not going to make any money. So they know that they're looking for items that are going to move, that are going to sell, and they're going to do everything they can. And where they have to, they'll take a loss. And where they don't have to, they'll make a big profit. So just know that you have to acquire inventory on a regular basis. You need to put together a plan for that.
And just to piggyback on what Nicole is saying, I want you to think about this from the standpoint of walking into a store and looking around at what the other customers are buying. Very rarely would you ever walk into a store and see that that store only has 1 or 2 products and that the customers in the store are all buying the exact same product. So you've got to have a variety. You've got to have things for people to actually buy. When you look into people's baskets, you're going to see a variety of items. When they get ready to check out, they have things that they've been able to choose from. So making sure that you have a storefront that has a variety of items so that people can make a choice so that they don't leave your store without making a purchase. So I want you to think of it from that perspective.
Absolutely. And I'm going to let you go ahead and take budget and schedule.
Okay. Again, from a budgetary standpoint, very, very important. Not sure where your goals are. If you're just wanting to make a little bit of money, if you want to pay a couple of extra bills, if you're saving for something special, or if you want to fire your boss. I do this full time, and I cannot stress enough how important it is to actually set a budget. And we're not talking about a budget on, keeping it low so that you're not spending as much as you're making or whatever. We're talking about a budget that says this is how much I'm going to need to spend each week because I know what I need to make each week. And so that's very important. Many people go out and think, well, I can go spend $20 this week and I'm going to make $300 next week. Again, you have to prime the pump. So if you want to make $5,000 in a month, $1,000 in a month, $200 in a month, you're going to have to set a budget on how much am I going to spend to get me to those numbers. And so Nicole does a great job in some of our other workshops in showing you how to get all of that set up, how to set those budgets, how to actually set your goals. But we want you to know that this is a necessary part of running your business. If you want money coming in on a regular basis, you need to know you're going to be spending it on a regular basis. And so as a business owner, this is your business. Only you know what those numbers are. Same thing with schedule. If you want this to be a real business, you have to treat it like a real business. Nicole has already mentioned, don't treat it like a hobby. You can't work it one day and then decide the next day or the next week that you're not going to work it because you didn't make any money. If you want consistent income, you have to put in consistent effort. Effort is going to correlate with your income. If you're not putting any time into your business, you shouldn't expect, a great windfall to come out of it. So you need to establish a real work schedule. And if you have a full-time job, that may be 1 to 2 hours a day. That may be 30 minutes to an hour a day, whatever your schedule allows for. But you need to set aside that time to work your business, and you need to have actual goals and actual work activities that you're going to do on those particular days, so that you're not just floundering around, spending time, but not actually accomplishing anything. So you need to establish and execute a real work schedule to ensure that you're being consistent in your business. And planning, of course, I'm going to toss that back over the fence to Nicole, because she is the guru at planning.
Well, I want to add to schedule just for a little bit. So one of the tools that I use for scheduling, and we took a deep dive into schedules in eCom Sellers Mastery. But one of the things that I use is Google Calendar, and I actually schedule alarms on my phone. Those two combined, and every once in a while I use a little kitchen timer. I have all of these hat tricks that I use to focus on when it's time for me to do my retail arbitrage or online arbitrage or whatever it is I'm doing in my e-commerce, that I am focused during that window and I actually work in the business that entire time. So if you decide you're going to do retail arbitrage, if this is the model for you, then what you need to do is, if you say that I'm going to go out and I'm going to source, if you've decided you're going to source, and you say I'm going to source every single week, 3 times a week for 2 hours, then go source for 2 hours. And one of the strategies that you could use is, and in sourcing, I always recommend that you source and list, and we're going to talk about the list strategy in a minute. But one of the strategies you could use is, I set up a YouTube playlist. And so if I'm going into the store, I literally hit play, put the earbuds in, and I am scanning until the end of that playlist. And if that playlist is 1 hour long, I am scanning until all the songs are done playing for that 1 hour. And then I am done. I've submitted 1 hour to one store. I go ahead, I check out, and I leave, and I go to the next store. And as soon as I get in the next store, I get in the aisle, I hit play, and I scan for 1 full hour. So that way you're consistent, because I don't include the drive time. I don't include all this extra stuff. I literally am talking about focused, dedicated time on the activity that's going to make you money. So listing is a definitely activity. Sourcing, the sourcing research is beneficial, but you could do 8 hours of sourcing research and not do anything with it. So it's not going to make you any money until you list that item. So that's why we talk about the scan and list method. So make sure that you're putting together a schedule of, realistically, based on what's happening in your life right now, realistically, when can I go shopping? When can I source? What method am I going to use for my shopping? Am I going to do part of it online and have people deliver it to my door? Am I going to actually physically go out? Which days, how many days a week am I actually going to go out? How many hours am I going to spend? So you have to have time for those things. And you need to make sure you have time for other operational things that are associated with your business, like organizing your inventory when you get it in, making sure that you clean it up if there's a need to do so, making sure that you stored it in such a way that if somebody buys it, you can find it. So these are all activities around the operations of your business. So you need to allot pockets of time for those related activities, but your biggest activity that you should be spending the majority of your time is on the income producing activity that will bring money into your house. Again, Renata has been doing this. You're working full-time, doing retail arbitrage since 2014. So if she can do it using retail arbitrage, you can do it. There are so many people that use retail arbitrage to make money.
Absolutely. And
Absolutely.
just back to the scheduling piece that Nicole was saying, you have to have this schedule, but she just mentioned, again, we've got some additional workshops that will show you some of the deep dive. She just mentioned mastery. That's a great place to start, but some of the things that she's able to show you as far as how to use some of those hat tricks, as she calls them, to make sure that you're staying on schedule. You've got to have some discipline around this. And so whatever it takes, you need to actually sit down and figure out what those tools are going to look like. Which tools are you going to use? How are you going to get it scheduled? And how are you going to ensure that you're being consistent each and every week?
Absolutely. All right, so planning, when we get into the sourcing, which we're going to be covering part of that next week for sure, is that when you're thinking about what you're going to source, be thinking about what's selling right now in the 1 to 3 months, and then also think about what's going to be selling in the next 3 months, so the next 3 to 6 months. So that's why I was talking about that whole 6-month window. In some cases, you may be acquiring inventory that may be selling at some future time. So planning is so important when you're thinking about your sourcing. Put together your strategy, your approach. When are you going to pivot to be able to sell the next thing that people are going to be interested in? And again, as we get into sourcing, we're going to talk more about those strategies, but you have to have some level of planning. And planning and your schedule kind of go hand in hand, because if you know, for some people, like, oh, I know I'm going to have back surgery in 2 months. Okay, what are the things you need to be doing right now so that when you're laid up and you can't do your business, how are you going to continue to make sure you're making money? How are you going to continue to make sure that income is coming in? Or if you know that you have a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment, then make sure that you're scheduling those around the time in which you would be doing whatever is on your actual daily operational schedule. So if you're saying every day I'm going to work in my business from 8 until 12, then don't schedule your doctor's appointment between 8 and 12. Schedule your doctor's appointment at 12:30 or 1 o'clock. You need to decide when you're going to run your business and schedule everything around it. In addition to that, coordinate with your family. Sometimes people take family vacations. And so again, doing some level of planning and sourcing, working those two things, planning and putting your schedule together, those two things together, so that your business can continue to run on autopilot while you're on vacation. You can continue to make money. Maybe you work a couple of extra hours before you go on vacation, or a couple of, put in extra time. Maybe your schedule is 25 hours a week that you're committing to your business, and you up it to 30 hours a week for 2 weeks. And then when you come back, you increase it to 30 hours a week for 2 weeks, and then you go back down to 25. So you figure out a strategy so that you are preparing, you're ramping up for you to be off for a period of time and make that extra money. And then the last thing is consistency. There's absolutely no way in which you could make any money. There's no way that Renata could continue to keep the lights on and keep water coming out of her faucet and keep the roof over her kid's head if she was not consistent in her retail arbitrage business. That is the key. Every single day when I talk to this woman, and I talk to her almost every day, almost, and she is always, okay, I got some shipments to go, I got this, she is working her business all the time. So consistency is the key, putting together that schedule and executing it on a regular basis and being committed to that. That is going to make you the money that you're looking for long term, because the consistency will actually build the habits that you need that will reveal to you, this is a product that's going to sell, and this one might not sell. This is a product I know, because I've been doing this for a couple of years, will sell around this time of the year. And this product may not sell until next year. It is through being consistent that you actually start to understand and see the patterns that buyers for these big box stores are using to buy and source inventory. You start to see the patterns of when inventory starts to arrive in the store and when they're going to actually, we know it's already in the back warehouse. They just haven't put it on the floor yet. It is those patterns that you start to see because you're consistently in the streets. You're consistently paying attention to what's happening in the store. You see when they rotate things in and out for President's Day sale and for Labor Day sales and for 4th of July sales and for back to school and for Halloween. You know that Christmas trees are already in the back warehouse in September, and you just don't see them until right after Halloween. So the reality is like you start to notice these patterns. You know the calendars start to arrive in stores on August before the new year hits. These are things that you learn through the consistent activity of going out and scanning in stores. Do you want to add anything to that, Renata?
Nope, I think you covered that all. But the consistency that Nicole's speaking of comes in very handy when you're in the stores on a consistent basis. You will begin to see those patterns. But in addition to that, as you see how the stores are planning, it's a great idea to start developing your own calendar in your own business to start making some of those same adjustments and planning for some of those same things. If you know that you're going to be looking 3 to 6 months ahead of time, we'll get into that when we get into sourcing, but it's a great idea to start looking at how you can acquire some of those things at a lower cost and maybe have to hold on to those. But when they're going to sell, you know that you actually have that product on hand. And so you can plan that part into your business and not have to spend that time outsourcing. You can spend that time actually researching for the next several months because you know you've got a good deal of inventory on hand for the upcoming events.
Absolutely. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is today, our action item is if you don't have the Amazon Seller app or you don't have the Amazon Buying Shopping app, we want you to go install those. We want you to go to Google Play or the Apple Store, whichever one, you have, and we don't know if you have an Android or an iPhone. And we want you to find the Amazon apps. There are two of them. There's the shopping app, which actually has a shopping cart in it as a bluish shopping cart. It's white and has a bluish shopping cart in it. And then there is the Amazon Seller app, and it's black with a white. It's black with a white frame around the A, so it's a dark icon. So
Yeah, it
find
looks like
those
the
two.
price tag.
Yeah, yes. So find those two and install them if you have not already done that. That is going to be key. And then we're going to walk you through the process for the Amazon. I think the first one is the Amazon Seller app that we're going to talk through.
Now we're going to keep in mind that in order to actually get, we're going to show you how to install the app, but in order to actually log in and use the app, you have to have a seller account. So between now and the next few days, so when you're looking at the information we're providing to you tonight, we want to make sure that if you don't already have that account, that you get that set up right away. So we're going to walk you through what it looks like. Nicole, if you'll just point at each of the images, I'll just walk through it. So you're going to search for Amazon Seller in your app store, whether that's your app store, your Google Play Store. When that comes up, next image it's what it looks like. You'll see a number of things that come up, but that little black background with the white price tag with the Amazon A on it is what we're looking for. You're going to click on that, and then you're going to begin to install it, and that's what it looks like. Once it installs, you're going to select your marketplace. We're in the United States, so that's where we would click. Next slide. Once you get in there, you're actually going to have to log in. You've installed it, you've told it where you are, and now Amazon's going to want you to log in. This is very difficult to do when you already have an account. So we've got screenshots from me trying to set this up on different devices, but it's going to ask for your email. That's going to be the email that you use to set up your seller account, and it's going to ask for your password. Every time you go to log in, if you've got your accounts linked with your buying account, it's always going to try to put that in there. So we suggest that you use a separate email for your selling account, and every time you log in, it's going to ask for that particular email. So you want to use the email associated with your Amazon seller account. You want to use the password that you set up at that time. Once you do that, you're going to click on sign in, and it's going to take you to the Amazon Seller app. You're in the app. This is what it looks like. The very first page is going to give you a couple of options. You can either go to your home screen, you've got communications, you can go to help, contact seller support, send them feedback, or sign out. The very next image is what the home screen looks like. It gives you a number of pieces of data just on this first screen. You will have, depending on how you set it up, because there are options on what you want to see on your home screen, but typically you're going to see your data, your sales for the day up to date so far. So if you're looking at it at noon, it's going to show you your sales from noon yesterday to noon today. It's a 24-hour rolling clock. It's going to ask you how many units you've sold to actually make that amount of money. And then over to the right, it actually gives you a running tally of what your Amazon balance is. Amazon's going to pay you every 2 weeks. They're going to keep that money in the kitty for you, and their balance is going to show up there. Your sales for the day are,
I think, did we lose Renata? I think we lost
whether
you.
you set it up, whether
Okay, now you're back. You're back. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whether you set that up for the month, the day, or the year, the product sales are going to show up in here with a little chart in that large block area. It's going to give you a percentage increase or decrease over the last 30 days, and it's going to give you a percentage increase or decrease over the last 365 days or over the last year. So it'll always come up and kind of show you a snapshot of where you are and what it looked like a month ago or a year ago, depending on how you set this up. Toward the bottom of this same screen, you're going to see that you have some options from your home screen. You can go here, straight from here, and add a product. This is one way to do it. You can go here if you've got orders. It's going to actually give you an option to manage those orders. You'll see the orders come in. You'll be able to buy your shipping. You'll be able to contact the seller and do some other things. You'll be able to manage any returns that customers have requested. You want to make sure that you're checking these areas regularly. I know depending on the app, on one of my devices, it shows up with number if I've got new messages or new returns being requested. On another one of my devices, nothing shows up. I've actually got to go click on it every day just to see. Communications, if a customer has a question, where's my item, what's your return policy, whatever that looks like, it's going to show up under communications. Very important to note here that Amazon requires, no matter what happens, whether you're on vacation or whether you don't have anything listed in here right now at all or not, requires you to communicate in a response to that customer within 24 hours. This is very important because it affects your metrics. We'll talk about metrics when we get into actually sourcing and that sort of thing. But the communications piece of the tab on here is very important. You want to make sure you're checking it on a regular basis because it does affect your seller metrics. At the bottom, you've got a campaign manager. If you've set up any sales campaigns, they will show up down here. That's a very deep dive. We're only looking at actually the retail arbitrage or sourcing part of this, so we won't get into those tabs, but I did want you to know what the actual homepage looked like. Each of the other tabs that we just showed you on the homepage, just so you know what they look like, under communications, you have everything in there that you would need as far as reaching out to a customer. So this is all about your customers. You've got how many customers have reached out to you where you need to respond. You've got messages that you've received from a customer, even if it was a month ago, a week ago. You can click on that and go see what those messages were. If you've sent messages out to a customer, they'll show up there. And if you want to see all of them, you can do that here as well. But this is all about your communications with your customers, soon-to-be customers, would-be customers, or past customers. The next tab is the help tab, and this is all from the homepage. If you need help with searching for a product, with what the fees look like, why is my amount, different than what I thought it should be? Inventory, if you've got a piece of inventory and something's going on with it, it's showing suppressed, it's showing that for whatever reason it's not available when you know that you've sent it in or you know that you have it, you can ask those questions from this screen. If you've got questions about specific orders, if you've got questions about returns, this is how you reach out. This is your communications tab between you and Amazon, and it's anything that you need to do where you're reaching out for help. The next tab was the Contact Us tab, and it could be anything from, instead of just needing help, it could be something specific about something that has happened. So you've got an order that a customer has reached out to you about, and now you're contacting them just to give Amazon an update about what's going on because they've sent you some information. So everything that you need to know when you're looking at that home screen, we're just laying that out for you and showing you what each of those tabs look like inside the seller app. Next screen. So we want to make sure that you understand how it all works. And so this is actually just from today, finding products, while we're out. So if you scan I'm sorry, Nicole, can you go back to one screen? I think there was something I wanted to point out that I missed. One more. At the very top of that third image, go back one more. No, it's the one you were on with the very first one, that one. The very top of that third image, you see the camera up in the upper right-hand corner. I intended to mention that when we were on that screen. That's the other way that you're going to go and actually scan and list, which is what Nicole mentioned. When I talk about the add a product, these two items are the ways that you get items into your catalog when you're out. If you scan it and it doesn't show up, you can always go down to add a product and type that in. But this camera is very important because it's going to give you not only the opportunity to scan the UPC code, but it's going to give you the opportunity to actually be able to scan the label. Amazon's optic character recognition or optic recognition is so powerful. You can just actually point it at the item, scan the item. Doesn't have to be the actual UPC code, but it will look for things in its catalog that look like that item. So you can skip back to the actual where we got the item scanned. So in scanning an item, this comes up. A couple of things you want to look at on that very first page. When you scan it, it's going to pop up and it's going to tell you at the very top of this image, I'm looking at the rank. Very important piece of information. We'll get into that later. To the right of that, we can see that the item actually has a fair amount of reviews, and they're good reviews. So it's got a little more than 4 stars. At the bottom of this first page, you want to make sure that you're looking at the selling eligibility. It's checked off in green. You see right here from the first page, this is an item that you can sell. So on the converse of that, if you scan an item and it's restricted or gated, as Nicole mentioned on the early part, then what you would see is a big no-no up here at the top with a line through it basically saying that you could not sell this item. So this one tells you that you can sell this item in new condition. So if you click on selling eligibility, it takes you to the next screen where it shows you can sell it in new condition, but you can't sell it for whatever reason or why you would want to, but you can't sell this particular item in these other conditions. Now, this is going to be specific to every seller's app. This is going to be specific to every seller's account. Your app may show something different when you scan a particular item than my app would show. It's going to be specific to your account, so it's very important that you check when you scan an item. No matter how great the item looks, you want to check and make sure that you're able to sell it. So in this case, I see that this is an item that I can sell. I can sell it in new condition. It's got decent ranking, and it's got a good ranking actually. It's got decent ratings or rating reviews. And so the next thing I'm going to do is under the price over there, you see that this item is being sold as new. If you click on the right arrow on that first image, it's going to take you over to the third image where you can look and see exactly how you're going to fulfill this item. So you're going to look at it and see you can sell it seller fulfilled. The blue part, it's a different tab. You could sell it Amazon fulfilled. Seller fulfilled is what we'll focus on, but it's when you are actually buying the item, taking it to your home, storing it either in a bin or in your garage or wherever it is until a customer buys it, and then you're actually shipping it out. So in this case, you've got a number of pieces of information. We're not looking specifically right now at whether or not this is a good item. We want to make sure that you see what information is included. So it's going to tell you right here that you can select your price no matter what you see on that first page. You can pick your price. You can decide whether or not when you're setting it up, if you're going to actually get shipping credits for it, if you're going to charge for shipping, what your total price is going to be, and based on the information that Amazon already has in its catalog, they're going to estimate the fees. Very important to know that no matter what you buy, no matter what the profit looks like, Amazon's going to have some fees that they take out right off the top because you're listing this on their platform. They're doing all the marketing. You're reaching out to their more than 150 million customers. So it's a great place to be, and now is a great time to be there, but just know that there's a cost to it. In addition to that, if you're shipping it yourself, you need to estimate or know about what the shipping is going to cost you. I actually plug some information in here just because I know what I pay to ship, and then how much it's going to cost you to purchase it. This happens to be an item that I picked up over at the dollar store. So with tax for 3 of these, because it's a bundle, I'd pay $3.25. Profit on this is only $1.71, but if you look at it in terms of percentages, that's about close to 52% ROI. So it's not bad, and if you're looking at it in terms of it's a bundle, this is an item that, based on the rank I'm looking at, based on the ratings I'm looking at, based on the ROI that I see here, I can now make a decision on whether or not this is something I want to buy. You control, again, this is your business, so you control your price. We love to say that. You control your price. You don't let them tell you, based on what the other sellers are saying, how much you're going to sell it for. There are some limits as far as Amazon saying, you're trying to sell it for too much. But this is an item where you can see based on, and we'll go to the next screen, Nicole, based on how many sellers there are. It looks like we've got 13. And on the next screen, you can, we go here, you see that there's 13 sellers. I plug this rank into one of our tools. There's tons of tools you can use. We like to tell everyone to use the seller app because it's free. Tons of tools you can use, but if I plug this in, I see that there's more than 540 of these selling every single month. This is using a tool called Jungle Scout that I think just about all of us use it at some point, whether it's for data analysis, or for me, I use it all the time just to get this type of information. How many are selling a month? Looking over at the fact that there's only 13 sellers, this is something I'm probably going to pick up. Again, this example wasn't meant to show you a great item. It was intended to show you how to understand the app. But in this case, I look at the number of sellers as well as the number of items being sold every month to make a decision not only on am I going to buy it, but how many I'm going to buy. Again, we're here to help you. We've got tons of information inside the Academy and in some of our other trainings that talk about inventory management, how many of these you might want to buy. But we want you to reach out to us if you've got questions, specific questions about a product or how well it's selling or how many you might want to buy. Again, this is your business, but we love to be able to give you some guidance on how we do things. So there's a link over there if you're interested in knowing what those ranks look like or what they mean in terms of equating that to a number of sales per month. That's the total number of sales estimated on Amazon on that item every month. But that doesn't say how many of that item each of those sellers has or how many you're going to sell. Just know that because some of those sellers are prime, if you look over there at the image, you've got some FBA offers in addition to the total number of offers. So you've got to take a lot of different things into account, but we want you to understand what these numbers look like when you're looking at that first image. When you scan it, what all of these different parts of the app are trying to tell you. At the very bottom of the image, you're able to go and scan another item. If you wanted to click on search at the bottom, you'd be able to go, instead of typing add a product, you can do that directly from this scan and list screen. You'd be able to search for a product, whether that was on just the title of the product or what you're looking at in terms of what the name of the product is. I like to favorite items. If I'm in a store and I see that there's an item there, but they either don't have enough for me to buy, in other words, like this is a bundle of 3. If I happen to walk into a store and they only had 2 of them and I'm not running around a few other stores today, I might favorite this item so that I'm able to pull it back up very quickly when I get to the next store. I know exactly what I'm looking for. If it's something that I'm buying on a consistent basis, I favorite the item so that I can go back and look at these same pieces of data on a regular basis. Next month, I may come back to my favorited item and see that instead of 13 sellers, there may now be 30 sellers. So all of these things are going to affect how many I buy the next time I go out. If there's more sellers, it's going to take me a little bit longer to sell the items that I have. So from an inventory management standpoint, for me, because I do this full time, that's very important. I need to have items that are going to move very quickly, very consistently, moving out all the time. So if I'm going to buy this item based on my budget, I might actually look at another item, might even have a higher rank, but if there are fewer sellers, then I know I'm probably going to be able to sell more of that item based on all the research and everything that we do. Next screen.
Well, I did want to add one additional thing. So this search that she was talking about before, one of the other strategies that I do want to just mention while we're here, because we're looking at it, and then we're going to mention it again in our searching strategies, is make sure that, like, when you're scanning, you can always scan the UPC. You can also scan the image of the item, which is using that camera up at the top that you don't see right now, but the camera up at the top when you're on your main page. You can also type in the item, and when you type it in, it will give you a reveal sometimes that there are multiples of an item. And so in this example, when you type it in, or if you just scanned it, it may just come up with the multi-listing versus the single listing, and that information can be helpful to you. So make sure when you're scanning, you scan the image, you scan the UPC, you type it in. And once you do all 3 of those from the Amazon Seller app, it's going to give you a good idea of whether or not that item, if that item is listed multiple ways, because it could be listed as a double pack, a triple pack, 4 of them in a pack, a single, it could be listed multiple ways. And so that gives you that idea. And you can decide if you want to sell it and how you want to sell it.
Oh, absolutely. And to Nicole's point, because she's the bundling queen, that'd be a great way to know if someone has actually been to any of Nicole's classes, because they may see that one item and decide that it's got too many sellers on it, so now they're going to go and bundle it. And that may be how this 3-pack came to be. So as you just mentioned, if you type in search for the same item, you might find that there's a smaller or larger bundle of the same of the same items with better or worse rankings. But based on using the app and understanding how it works, this is probably a pretty good buy. So when you get to the next screen and you're actually looking for what those offers look like, you have a filter, in which the filter is great. It gives you the ability to be able to look if you're not actually going to ship it in for FBA. You can filter out all of those prime offers and see what are the other merchant fulfilled sellers selling this item for. Or you can, if you're planning to ship it in, you can only look at the prime offers. But it's just another way for you to get a gauge on where you might want to price the item. Again, remember, this is your business. You set your requirement as far as your return. And so you shouldn't let what the price is right now drive what you're going to set your price to be. If you want to buy this item and you know you need to make a certain amount on it, then we just talked about this earlier, but you would actually set your price. Your price is your price. You set your price and you sit on it. You let the people that want to sell it for $2, that's the very first one, you let them sell out of it. And eventually, because this is a hot item, because the rank is low enough, then they would get around to actually buying your products. You've got offers there. You've got 13 total, and this was just a snapshot just to let you see they range in price from $272 with shipping, and I think the most expensive one was $998 with free shipping. So there is an opportunity to make a profit there. Again, I think the way I plugged it in, it was about 52 or 53% ROI, which isn't bad. But if you required more than that, again, you might look at bundling it a different way. It's a hot item. Clearly, there's a demand for it. You just make sure that you know what you require as far as your return.
Okay, I think we lost sound.
I don't know why I keep muting. I don't know what. But I'm not touching the keyboard, so it's really weird. So just make sure that you're setting your price accordingly. This was just a snapshot to show you all of the offers from lowest to highest. And even though it looks like the highest here is right at about $10 with free shipping, that gives you some room for profit. But if that doesn't meet your requirement, feel free to set yours at $11 or $11.50. As long as Amazon allows you to set the price that high, you can easily right here increase your ROI on this item. Because the rank is so good and because there aren't a ton of sellers on it. My anticipation is that this item would sell pretty quickly.
All right. Okay. So, and I am with her on the whole set your price. So I try to stay in the sweet spot. I try not to be the highest. I try not to, depending on what I'm selling, I try not to be the highest, and I definitely am never the lowest. So I try to see what the middle range is and try to stay somewhere in between the middle range to make sure I'm not the highest. In some cases, it's worth it to be the highest. Just depends on what your long-term strategy is.
And once again, we want to make sure that we're giving you kind of top level view so that you understand how retail arbitrage works. But we've got a ton of information about how to do each of these things. So even from the standpoint of setting that price, your price is your price. I tend to, again, because I'm looking for items that are going to move pretty quickly, I tend to set it, as Nicole said, somewhere in the middle. There's a sweet spot. But you've got to be sure that you've taken a look at what the historical data is telling you on this as well. Just because there's only 13 sellers now, last month there could have been a lot more sellers, and some of those sellers could have had it priced a lot for a lot more, and you may still be able to get that. You may still be able to actually garner that amount. Just because the sellers that are there now are selling it at that price doesn't mean that that's what the demand will allow for. So just make sure that you've looked at some of the historical data. And again, we've got tools and workshops and information about all of that. We just want to make sure you understand how it works. So in addition to viewing it on the app, if you go to Amazon.com or go to the buying app, you'll see information on the website and on the other app that don't show up when you just scan the item. So to Nicole's point, it's very important that you actually are very thorough when you're doing this from the very beginning, from on the front end of this. You save yourself a lot of time and make a lot more money if you spend more time on the front end selecting the right product. So from here on the Amazon.com, I'm able to see this is Amazon's choice. That little black box right underneath the ratings tells me Amazon likes this item over similar items. So Amazon's going to promote this item more. Amazon's going to show it to people a lot more when they're, looking for something similar. The Amazon's choice is what's going to show up. This is something that Amazon actually recommends. That's a great thing when you're looking for a product. And again, Amazon likes this product, so it's a great opportunity to sell it in either a larger or smaller bundle, or to bundle it with other items, just because Amazon is pushing it so much. In addition to that, you can still see that there's 13 sellers. Over to the right, one of the pieces of information that you can't see on the app is how many this seller actually has. So he has the buy box right now, but he's only got 20 of these. So if you're going to buy these, you're thinking, okay, well, I know that this seller, specifically this seller, has at least 20 of these. So he walked into the store and bought at least 60 of this item. So when you're looking at how you're going to price it and how many you're going to buy, this bit of information, it's just good to be able to kind of gloss over all of it and see what you might be missing if you only look at the app. In addition to that, you're able to see toward the bottom, on this particular seller, that he's actually one of the prime sellers, or that he's FBA, by looking over to the bottom right where it says he's selling it and it's fulfilled by Amazon. Anything else you want to point out on this slide, Nicole?
Yeah, I was just going to add one additional thing. So we're looking at it from the browser standpoint. And so on your mobile device, whether you're using a Samsung, an Android, or you're using an iPhone, you can go to whatever your device's browser is and type in Amazon.com while you're at the store. If you don't have the buying app or the shopping app on your phone, if you have the shopping app, it allows you to see everything in a consolidated manner that you would normally see in the browser. It's just reorganized a different way. So just use either one of those to get that additional information, because sometimes you can find more information about the product, or you can see multiples of the product in the shopping app, and they may not be easily revealed in the seller app because of the way the person created the listing, if it is a bundle or a multi-pack. And so that becomes a challenge, but the shopping app will reveal potentially more multi-packs or more bundles for that particular item. And that's only because, again, the person creating the bundle listing is in charge of the title. And if it's not titled as easily for the seller app to pull it up, you might find it easily under the buyer app. So that gives you another opportunity to sell this item in a multi-pack or some other way. So you can just grab more of the same item.
Another thing that you can see from the actual shopping site, whether that's on the web page or from the app, is you're actually able to see the reviews. So you're able to see how many reviews and what those reviews add up to on the selling app, that there were 233 and that they had, he had a pretty decent rank. It doesn't tell you 4.2 out of 5, but you can see the 4 stars. And so here you're actually able to see those reviews, see how many there are, see how many of each there are. And if you wanted to, which I often do, click on some of those 1 and 2 stars just to see what the complaints are. I always want to make sure that, if there's a number of complaints about a specific thing, that I take that into account before I buy them. I don't like to deal in a lot of returns. It's not going to shut my business down, but if it's, you got to know that many of these 1 and 2 star reviews might be, oh, I wish this came in green. Oh, I wish it came in a 4-pack. It could be a number of things. People will leave a review about, something that doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the product. And so I want to just make sure I take a look at those, which I can't do from the seller app. So just another thing to keep in mind. At the bottom of this page, you see the product details. Again, everyone is going to look at this from a different perspective, but as a full-time seller, I like to see this page because I want to know before I get it home about how much it's going to cost me to ship it. And so here, the shipping weight for 3 of these looks like it's only about 4 ounces. I know, which is how I was able to plug something into the shipping cost, how much I'm going to ship out a first-class package for. So just something to take a look at. You're actually in the store. You can pick it up and feel it many times, but if you're doing online arbitrage, if you're looking for some of these items, you may not know what you're getting until it arrives, or you may not, know how you're going to package it. So you've got an actual approximate size. You're going to package it yourself, so it may not be the same size package, but you see exactly how much this particular seller, whoever created the listing, what the weight of that item was. So you're able to actually estimate shipping on it, even if you have, one of the shipping apps on your phone, or if you're going to use it at home. You, after a while, it's very instinctive. You get to know about how much it's going to cost you to ship it. So it all plays into what your return is going to be and how much profit you're going to make on each item. So again, the seller app is a great place to start. We just want you to see that there's so much other information out there available to you. And because this is your business, you're going to decide how you're going to use that in your business.
All right. So this
To
is
Nicole.
so
All
this is
right.
sorry, this is to continuing to view this particular product. And now we're looking at it from a Seller Central standpoint. So you'll see up here, I'm in the Amazon Seller Central, and I'm pulling up the product. So you can go in and pull it up by typing in the name that it's known by. You'll also see the other ways in which it is potentially listed. And so if you bought like 20 or 30 or 40 of these, you can decide which listings you want to jump on. And that could, again, making that decision that this is the method in which you want to use for selling this particular item. But we wanted to show you how you can see the data in the Amazon buying app or shopping app, and then also Amazon.com, and then seeing what it looks like in Amazon Seller Central when you get back to your house, if you decide you want to pull it up in a different way and add that to your inventory. So maybe the one that you added to your shopping cart, or you added to the list in the store and you clicked on list, maybe it was the 3-pack, but then you realize, oh, there's a 2-pack out there and I want to jump on that listing as well. Because if you're doing seller fulfilled, you can decide which ones you want to jump on.
And I like to say, just anytime I'm doing this type of arbitrage, I like to say there's more than one way to skin a cat. So same information available on a different screen, but in this case, I actually went to Seller Central and typed in add an item. And so if I wanted to add a Scrub Buddies foam, whatever this thing is called, a sponge, a number of different things popped up. This just happened to be the screenshot that we captured, but a lot of different items popped up. And so you can actually use that information to determine, oh, here's another item I might want to go and try to source or try to look at, or go into the stores to see what the price is going to be. But here's a great opportunity to look over to the right where you can still see that you're able to sell it only in new condition. You're still able to see that you do have the ability to sell the product because of the turquoise box, and you can see that you cannot list in those other conditions. So it's the same information displayed in a different format in a different location, but there's tons of ways to get it. And if you haven't gotten it one way, when you get to this screen, here's another way to go look at it, and we want you to know where to look for it.
All right. And so now that you're in the seller app, again, adding it to your inventory, setting your price, how many quantity, and then at the bottom you say, I will ship this item myself, and then you're ready to go. So you can go ahead and jump on the listing and ship this item yourself. If you've already clicked list from the store, that's great. But if you haven't, and you decide you're going to come and do some more research to figure out how many different bundles are there, what are the ranks for each one of the individual bundles or multi-packs, and which one should I jump on? Do I want to jump on and put 10 on this one and 2 on this one, so you can decide how you want to do it. Okay, so we're going to give you a quick action item to do. So right now, and wherever you are in your house, I'm assuming you're sitting at your desk, maybe you're sitting in front of your computer, maybe you got your laptop and you're sitting on the couch. We want you to go grab something. We want you to grab either, it doesn't really matter what it is, we just gave you some ideas. But, a packet of toilet paper, if you have that in your house, dishwashing liquid, if you're near the kitchen, that's easy. It's got a UPC on the back of it. A can from the pantry, so a can of green beans, corn, whatever, soup, doesn't really matter. Grab something. Or some seasoning, salt, whatever. Just scan, we want to scan the back of it, scan the UPC using your Amazon seller app. And we also want to pull this item up on your Amazon shopping app, or you can pull it up on the browser on your mobile device on Amazon.com. Unless you got your laptop in front of you, you can pull it up. What we want to look at is, Renata pointed out a lot of great information about, it's going to help us make a decision. Is this an item we potentially want to sell? So what were the stars? We can see the stars in the seller app. You can also see it on the buyer app. The one thing you can see in the buying app or the shopping app is that you can go to the questions section and you can click on those 1 stars and 2 stars. And that's going to give you an idea on whether or not potentially I'm ready to sell this thing or not ready to sell this thing. Like, if it's got a bunch of negative stuff, I'm probably not in. I'm just like, okay. And especially if they were recent. So that means, something has happened. And this is outside of, oh, it took forever for this item to arrive. I'm not talking about those types of things. I'm talking about, oh my gosh, I used this dishwashing liquid and it turned my fingertips purple. And then somebody else says the same thing. And like, oh, okay, so there's something wrong with that dishwashing liquid. Don't buy it. Don't sell it. So, go to that section where we saw the ask a question. And then you can also see the frequently sold together if you're a person who wants to get creative, because next week we're going to talk about creating your own listing. So frequently sold together, that's an opportunity for potentially creating a bundle. Not 100% of the time, but probably at least 50 or more percent of the time. It's an opportunity. So grab something and scan it and tell us what information that scanning of that item or pulling that item up on Amazon.com or the shopping app revealed to you, so that you know, because you probably have things in your house that you probably should be sourcing. If we're going to be honest, you probably have a boatload of items in your house that you should be sourcing. And so you need to take advantage of that opportunity to source whenever the opportunity presents. So this is an amazing strategy when it comes to reverse sourcing. Just scan everything in your house, everything that's got a UPC, write it down. And then if you know where you bought it from, make that note and go source it, and then come back and scan and list while you're at the store, and you already have it added to your inventory. But again, if you're buying it, clearly somebody else is going to be buying it.
And oh my gosh, just because Nicole gave us this action item, I've been selling quite a bit of toilet paper, but the one that I'm using in my home currently, I don't know that this is an actual item that I've been selling, but it's ranked at 19,000 in health and household. And that's showing that there is a total of 800 of these being sold each and every month. There's only 5 sellers on it. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's got a great profit. So I think I'm going to go out to the store when we finish here.
So yeah, so it's Amazon. So that's all the Amazon sellers. So then we go to the Amazon seller app. And so I want you to see if you can sell this thing, if you're eligible to sell it. Look for that checkbox. So scan with the Amazon seller app. Can you sell it? And will it sell? Is it something that is actually moving, or does it have some ridiculous rank? And again, we're going to get more into ranks next week, but this is what you need to know. The closer the number is to 1, the number 1, the faster the item is selling on Amazon. The closer the number is to 1 million, depending on which categories you're in, the slower it is moving on Amazon. So Amazon is always a great gauge of what is moving and what's not moving. And I normally I would say about 75% of the time, I'm looking for things that have a rank of anywhere between 35,000 to 50,000 or below. Generally, just a general rank, because I'm in toys, I'm in household goods, and some things in grocery you can have lower ranks. But the point is, I want it below 35,000. I want it below 50,000. I may even want it below 20,000. If it's below those numbers, if the number is 10, I'm going after it. And there's not a lot of sellers on it, I'm definitely going after it. And
I don't care how many sellers are on it if the number is 10.
If the number is 10
on it, I'm going to pick it up.
I'll pick it up. And if it's if it doesn't have that many sellers on it and there's a profit, definitely I'm going after it.
And even though Nicole's mentioned that we're going to get more into the bestsellers rank and what that means in next week's session, just as a point of reference, there are millions. I think the last I remember checking, maybe more than 35 million, but millions of products on Amazon. So when you look at something and say 19,000, you don't know whether that's good or bad, that's great. That's great when you're looking at from the number 1 being the number 1 product in that category, selling out very quickly all the time, every seller's, selling a ton of them, to 1 million plus or 35 million or more. That right there, 19,000 is certainly a sweet spot for me when it comes to, am I going to pick this up? If I can make some money on it and if it's available, I'm actually going to pick this up and actually start shipping these out.
Yep, I'm in. There you go. So yeah, and how many sellers? So if you're in your seller app, look to see how many sellers. If it's something that has a rank of, 20,000 and it's got, 80 people on it, I may not decide that I'm going to sell that. But if it's got a rank, I may do some additional research. And in Mastery, we talk about using Keepa, which is another tool. But if the item is got a rank of, like I said before, 10, and it's got 80 sellers on it, I'm probably going to go ahead and grab it because if I can sell it, if I'm eligible to
And,
sell it, because I know
and
it's.
while you're looking at your seller app, those are going to be the same thing. It's going to be called offers. So each of those offers is going to tell you how many sellers there are. If it says there's 9 offers available, 9 new offers available, means that there's 9 sellers selling that product as new.
Yeah. And then is there a profit? So I'm going to show that offer thing again because I pointed it out earlier. So it's right here. This is how many sellers are on the listing. So this is the area that we're talking about. And then also whether or not Amazon is selling it or not. If Amazon is not on the listing, that's always a good thing. You can still.
Oh yeah, we skipped right over that, but
yeah.
We always like to look and see if Amazon is going to be our competition. Not to say that they can't jump on at any time because it is their platform, but it's always a good thing if you're selling and you've got, I don't care if it's, 2 sellers or 20 sellers, if none of those are Amazon, you're actually in the competition.
Yeah.
If that's it happens to be Amazon, very, very rarely can you sell something for less than what Amazon can sell it for just because of the sheer buying power
that Amazon has right now. Yeah. I mean, they've always had an amazing buying power. And then, so we said we're going to talk about ranks and restricted categories, but just think about if the number of the sales rank is lower, and we showed you where the sales rank was on there. And then if you have additional questions, we want to encourage you to come to the eCom Sellers Academy or attend the eCom Sellers Academy bi-weekly auto gating party. That way we share with you some additional information. We're going to share the same information next week, but that's another way to get that information on what the ranks, what the restricted categories are. We don't go under sales rank, but we do go under restricted categories. And then look and see on the item that you scan with your seller app, what the difference is if you sent it into Amazon versus if you do seller fulfilled. We'll talk a little bit more next week. I mean, just probably 2 minutes about whether or not you should or should not send stuff into Amazon right now. But we highly recommend that you do seller fulfilled. And we'll talk about that a little bit more next week. So retail arbitrage strategies, we want you to scan everything. We're just starting into the strategies. We have more strategies for next week. We're going to go through these a little quickly, but we want you to scan everything. When you go out, if you're going to go to the store, wear comfortable shoes, make sure you have your mask and your gloves, hand sanitizer, scan everything, scan as long as you can stand to scan, and scan in areas where if it's on the end caps, definitely scan that. If it's in the middle aisle, scan that. In the grocery section and it's on the end caps in the middle section, scan those things. Those are sometimes prime position things, and then also look at clearance.
Absolutely look at clearance.
Look at clearance all day long. Monitor the prices and markdown schedules for stores. So again, some of this you're going to learn over time because again, if you're consistently going out and scanning, you will start to see the pattern of, oh, this is when they mark it down. These are things you need to be making a note of in your little notebook that you keep in your car, or you can add a little notepad on your mobile device so that you can go back to and say, they were marking down around this time. So they're probably about to start marking down again. So those of us that know, we kind of know the pattern of right before back to school starts, which would be right now, in June, they would actually start marking a bunch of stuff down so they can make room for all the back to school supplies. That's typically what they would do. We don't know what they're going to do this year because nobody knows what anybody's going to do this year. But nobody knows what anybody's going to do. But typically that is the pattern. If you look at the history over the last 10, 15 years, they start marking stuff down in June, which most people don't expect that. But those of us that are paying attention, we grab those items that are on clearance.
And just another point about that, but when you're looking at the tools that Nicole was talking about, I know I'm guilty of not using some of those she talked about. As far as scheduling my business, I use mostly online tools. But for my phone, when I'm in a store and I see that they're actually making some deep markdowns in a particular area or around a particular category, I actually schedule that in my phone. I may come back and see that they do it multiple times a year, but if I'm in a store on, let's say we're going into July, but if I'm in a store tomorrow on July the 1st and I see that they're taking some really deep markdowns, you've got all the Father's Day stuff that's kind of gone away or whatever that looks like, I'm going to make a note in my phone for this time next year to actually go into the stores and look for those items, especially if I scan around and find something that is really moving. I can go back into the stores. I might have missed something. Something may have already sold out, but I'm going to make a note in my phone on my calendar to come back into the stores the beginning of the week. Tomorrow's already Wednesday. So around the end of June, going into that date, to look for those particular items so that I can stock up on them and get first dibs on the clearances.
There you go. So build relationship with your store managers. We want to encourage you to do that, or any store employees. They're going to give you some insight on any like hot items, hot inventory that they're that's planning to arrive. And again, this year may be the exception to the rule, but traditionally, you know, there's a window, there's a time frame in which they know the hot toys are going to start arriving in the store for Q4. They know when back to school is going to start arriving. They know, you know, there's different things that they know, different chains and different stores that you source from. So one of the strategies I always use is I use the Dollar Tree to gauge a boatload of stuff, because around the same time that it's on the shelves or in the aisles of the Dollar Tree or either in the back office of the Dollar Tree, that's about the same time that it's actually arriving or has arrived already at the back of the Walmart. So I use that as one of my gauges. Don't skip the grocery stores. Never skip the grocery stores, the drugstores, convenience stores. Don't skip those. Use coupons and cashbacks. We'll talk about a little bit more about those. Sign up for any store newsletters or flyers. Sign up for those, and combine your retail arbitrage with your online arbitrage. I mentioned a little bit of that at the beginning, like using some online arbitrage strategies to be able to acquire the inventory and get it faster. So, Renata, do you want to add anything to that before we get ready to close?
Just one thing down there with the combining the retail and the online. This is a great tactic to use if you're in a store, you find that perfect item like we just went through, just an example, but they only have, let's say they only have two and it's a bundle of three. Typically when I've gone around to a couple of the local stores, the first thing I'm going to do when I get home is jump on and see if I'm able to find that item anywhere around in a larger quantity where I can go and buy it. Online is the way for me when it comes to all the stuff that's going on right now. I want to minimize my risk as much as I can as far as being out in the stores. So I'm going to jump online every single time, even from the app. It's great to have the apps loaded on your phone, but I'm going to jump on the store. While I'm in the store, I'm going to jump on the app and see what's available around me. Before I hop in my car and drive to that next store, it's a great idea to be able to hop on the app and see how many that other store has.
All right. So today we covered a lot, and we're going to cover a lot next week. We explained what retail arbitrage is. Hopefully that makes sense to you. If you have any questions, let us know. We hopefully got you to install the app. Hopefully you took the opportunity to install the app. We explained how to use the seller app, and we explained a bunch of key features in the seller app that we hope was helpful. We actually reviewed some products on Amazon.com. We didn't review them directly on the Amazon shopping app, but I encourage you to do that. And then we also reviewed a product on the Amazon seller app. And we started discussing like some retail arbitrage sourcing strategies. We'll come back to that and take a deeper dive next week. We want to know what questions you have. Was this information helpful? If it was, please comment below or in the chat, or if you're live in the Facebook group, share your feedback and let us know, was this information helpful to you? Did you get value in this information? Did it help you better understand retail arbitrage and how you could use it in your business or implement this strategy into your business? And then if you have additional questions that we didn't see and didn't get to today, join the eCom Sellers Academy live Q&A sessions. We hold them twice a week. They're on Saturdays and also on Tuesday at 9:30. So we want to encourage you to come to that and ask your questions. So
and it is actually Tuesday at 9:30. So if you want to continue any of the information we have here, if you've got questions about it, please jump on the live Q&A. Actually tonight I'll be there, but there will always be a leader there available to answer your questions. If we don't have the answer, we have the means to get it.
Absolutely. So definitely give us some feedback in the Facebook group, and also give us feedback in the chat. Share your thoughts, your feedback with us. So if you haven't already done so, we want to encourage you to join eCom Sellers Academy. We mentioned multiple times during this workshop. And you can go to www.ecomsellersacademy.com and join. If you want to take a deep dive into your business, we also offer the Ecom Sellers Mastery. It's an intensive program and it's a 12-week program. So you can join Ecom Sellers Mastery at www.ecomsellersmastery.com. We also have our free Facebook group for those that are interested in just free basic e-commerce support. You can join that through Facebook, and it's at Ecom Sellers Mastery. Just look at Mastermind, sorry, Ecom Sellers Mastermind, and you can join that free Facebook group. So we hope you found this information valuable and helpful today. Next week we will go through our part 2. We will go through the rest of retail arbitrage. Bye for now.
Bye for now.